2. Harappan Civilization, c. 2600. 1900 BCE, Bronze Age Civilization. I. 2. 3. The Harappan civilization was the first urban civilization in South Asia, contemporaneous with the civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt. Of the three aforementioned civilizations, the Harappan civilization occupied most area, about 8,000,000 square kilometer. Earlier historians had called this civilization the Indus Valley Civilization, but since then, major settlements have been excavated in the Gagahakra belt that spread far beyond the Indus region. Harappa, as the first archaeological site to be discovered, therefore gives its name to the entire civilization. It forms a part of the protohistory of India, and belongs to the Bronze Age. While it is classified as a civilization that is older than Chalcolithic civilizations, in many ways it was far more developed than settlements in the Chalcolithic age. The Harappan civilization can be classified in three phases *, the early pre-Harappan phase, circa 3200 to 2600 BCE. Mature Harappan phase, circa 2600 to 1900 BCE. Late Harappan phase, circa 1900 to 1300 BCE. A general time range is specified as there is a great deal of variation in the dates for different phases. There exists an undeniable cultural continuity among all the phases of the Harappan civilization, yet they differ slightly from each other. The early Harappan phase, known as the regionalization era, was the formative, proto-urban phase of the Harappan civilization. It is related to the Hakra phase of settlements, and the settlements in this period are marked by their fortification, a fairly high level of expertise in specialized crafts such as stoneworking, beadmaking, and metal crafting, the use of wheeled transport, and the existence of trade networks. Most raw materials except jade, which has not been found in early Harappan settlements, are similar to the ones used in the mature Harappan phase. However, it did not have the large cities that defined the mature Harappan phase, neither did it have as much expertise in craft specialization. Some of the early Harappan archaeological sites are Padri in Gujarat, Kalibangan in Rajasthan, Dolavira in Kutch, Harappa in West Punjab, Balakot, Amri, and Birana in Haryana, Kotdiji and Gumla. It is noteworthy to add that there are no early Harappan sites in the active Indus plain. The mature Harappan phase, or the integration era, was the urban phase of the Harappan civilization, which shows the characteristics of a full-fledged civilization. It is pertinent to note that the unqualified term, Harappan culture or Harappan civilization, primarily refers to this mature urban phase. It is equally important is to understand the fact that the use of term Harappan culture or Harappan civilization for all the excavated sites does not mean that all the other sites are identical to Harappa. It only pertains to the fact that the other sites have the same basic set of Harappan material traits, such as the typical red and black pottery, terracotta figurines, standardized brick size in 1 to 2 to 4 ratio, and so on. The last phase of the Harappan civilization, that is to say, the late Harappan phase or the localization era, was the post-urban phase defined by a decline in the cities. This is the final period in the Harappan civilization and refers to the fragmentation of the culture of the integration era. The late Harappan phase comprises 5 geographical zones each having distinct phases: the West Punjab phase, Cemetery H culture, the East Punjab phase, the Juka phase, the Rampa phase, and the Ganga Yamuna Doab phase. Late Harappan settlements were small compared to mature Harappan ones. The transition from the mature phase does not show any sudden discontinuity as such, but there is a gradual change in seals, pottery, confined writing, in the frequency of cubical weights, and so on. The late Harappan settlements were also more in number, but they were smaller and more rural, though marked by a diverse agricultural base. Important Juka sites are Juka, Chandhudaro, and Amri. Rampa phase sites are in Kutch, Saurashtra, and mainland Gujarat. General features of the mature Harappan phase. Archaeological evidence reveals a great deal about the Harappan civilization, which is marked by both cultural homogeneity as well as diversity. There is still no totally accepted theory on the origin of Harappan culture, but generally it is believed to have either emerged from pre-Harappan indigenous village culture, which may be the more reasonable view, or, as argued by diffusionist theorists, owes its origin to the Mesopotamian civilization. The area occupied by the Harappan civilization was triangular in shape and was largest among the 3 ancient urban civilizations, the other 2 being ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq. It roughly covers modern-day Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat, and Pakistan. Town planning. Harappan civilization is known for its urban outlook and sophisticated sense of civic planning and organization. In most cases the Harappan city was divided into 2 parts, citadel raised part. This part occupied a smaller area, and was frequently situated to the west of the city. Rulers of the city lived here. It also contained public buildings, granaries, and important workshops. Lower part, the common citizenry lived and carried on their professional lives in this part of the city. City planning roughly followed a grid pattern and streets ran from north and cut at right angles. Distinguishing aspects of Harappan town planning are as follows: the streets were wide, the main street being 10 meters wide and dividing the town into rectangular and square blocks. There were lampposts at intervals. They used burnt bricks of good quality, and the unique feature of this brick was its identical ratio of 1 to 2 to 4 in terms of thickness, width, length across all Harappan. Structures. Equally striking was the uniformity in the average size of bricks: 7 by 14 by 28 cubic centimeters for houses and 10 by 20 by 40 centimeters for city walls. They had an excellent drainage system. Drains were made of mortar, lime and gypsum and covered with large brick slabs for easy cleaning. Houses were often of 2 or more stories, though varied in size but quite monotonous. No window faced the streets and the houses had tiled bathrooms. Some houses had their own wells. Society. The Harappan society was an urban society, comprising mostly of the middle classes. The houses excavated suggest at least 3 distinct social groups: ruled, rich merchants and poor laborers who lived in the lower part of the city. However, there is still no clear idea among historians about the nature of inheritance in Harappan society. Other characteristic features of the Harappan society were: the Harappans were great experts in the use of the potter's wheel but were poor in artistic works of stone. Primarily red-black pottery, redware pottery painted with black designs, usually that of trees and circles, was popular. Some of these pots were used for storing grain or water, while some perforated pots were probably used for brewing fermented alcoholic beverages. A lot of terracotta has been found at many sites, including figurines of animals such as bulls, buffaloes, dogs, monkeys, toy carts, and humans. Terracotta bangles have also been found. It is important to note that more female figurines have been uncovered in comparison to male figurines. The Harappans refined the art of bead making, and jewelry excavated includes gold and silver jewelry, including necklaces, bracelets, pendants, earrings, brooches. At Aladino, near Karachi, a lot of necklaces made of gold, silver, carnelian, and semi-precious stones have been found. Copper, bronze, silver, and gold were metals known and used by Harappans, but iron was not. They were also good at metallurgy and producing alloys. The craftsmen used to both make artifacts out of pure copper as well as bronze, such as spears, knives, short swords, mirrors, axes, needles, rings, and bangles. It is rather interesting that the number of pure copper artifacts was far greater than alloyed bronze ones, but it does not mean technological backwardness, rather points towards cultural preference in all likelihood. Harappan people generally wore garments of cotton wool. The Harappans relished non-vegetarian food. Fish eating was common. Milk and curd was also consumed. The Harappan societies of Sindh and Punjab largely consumed wheat and barley, while those of Rangpur and Sarkota consumed rice and millets. The Harappan script was pictographic and logosyllabic, each symbol stood for a word syllable. Harappan writing was Bustrafidan, that is to say, right to left and left to right in alternate lines. The Harappan script has not been deciphered so far. The evidence of a common script, however, points to great cultural integration, and its virtual disappearance by c. 1700 BCE hints at the lack of sufficient downward percolation of writing. Economy. The inferences about Harappan economy have been derived from its flourishing trade relations with its contemporary Mesopotamian and Persian civilizations. The Mesopotamians called the Indus region Meluhar. The Mesopotamian texts speak of 3 intermediate trading stations called Dilmun, probably Bahrain on Persian Gulf, Markan, probably the Makran coast, Oman, and Meluhar. Seals hold a special significance in the Harappan context. Every merchant probably had a seal bearing an emblem, often of a religion's character, and a name brief description on one side. The standard Harappa seal was a square oblong plaque made of steatite stone. Though its primary purpose is inferred to mark the ownership of property, they may also have served as amulets. The key aspects of Harappan trade networks and economy are as follows: they carried out internal and external trade. There was no metallic money in circulation, and trade was conducted by means of barter. Inland transport primarily employed bullock carts. Seals. Harappan seals have been found in Mesopotamian cities like Susa and Ur. In Nippur, a seal has been found bearing Harappan script and a unicorn. Recently, some ancient sites in the Persian Gulf like Failaka and Bahrain have also yielded Harappan seals. In Mohenjo-Daro, 3-cylinder seals of the Mesopotamian type have been found, which underlines their trading relations. In Lothal, a button seal has been found. There were bead-making factories at Chanhu-Daro and Lothal. The products of these factories were items of export. A dockyard has been excavated in Lothal, and seaports have been found at Rangpur, Somnath and Balakot. A remarkable aspect of the Harappan culture was its standardization and accuracy in the context of weights and measures. Weights followed a binary system in the lower denominations 1, 2, 8, 16, 32 to 64, and then in decimal multiples of 160 like 160, 320, 640, 1600, 3200, and so on. Weights were made of chert, limestone, and steatite and were generally cubical in shape. Measures of length were based on the foot, 37.6 centimeters, the cubit, 51.8 to 53.3 centimeters. A shell scale has been found at Mohenjo-Daro, a shell object probably used to measure angles has been found at Saurashtra, and an ivory scale has been discovered at Lothal. Harappan imports. Metal source region: gold Afghanistan, Iran, kola, South India, copper Khetri, Rajasthan, Balochistan tin Afghanistan, Iran lapis lazuli Afghanistan jade pamir turquoise khorasan steatite tarpi chahia, Iran, bitumen Balochistan, Mesopotamia lead South India. Trade routes of Indus Valley. Religion. Harappan civilization is considered as a secular society as not a single structure qualifying as temple has been found. Sacred ritual spots included the Great Bath at Mohenjo-Daro, where the elite in all likelihood undertook ritual activity that included ceremonial bathing. Idolatry was practiced. The Harappan people generally worshipped Mother Goddess Pashupati Mahadeva or Protashiva, mostly an upper-class preference. Seals depict him in a yogic posture. Pashupati Shiva. Lingam, phallus, and yoni worship, cult of fertility. The Harappans. Fertility goddess. Pipal tree humped bull birds, dove and pigeon, one-horned unicorn, may in fact be the rhinoceros. Other key inferences about the Harappan religious practices are as follows. Fire altars have been found in Kalibangan and Lothal. The seal of Pashupati Mahadeva is surrounded by an elephant, a tiger, a rhino, a buffalo, and a deer, and it is likely that these animals were also worshipped. Dead bodies were placed in a north-south direction and were generally accompanied by objects including food, pottery, ornaments, and tools. These items were not as expensive in comparison to those in contemporary Mesopotamian or Egyptian cultures. The Harappan civilization was the earliest known civilization to produce cotton. Known as Sindon by the Greeks as from Sind. In the Indus Plain, people sowed seeds in the flood plains in November, when the flood water receded, and reaped their harvests of wheat and barley in April, before the advent of the next flood. They produced sufficient food grains to feed themselves, and the surplus food grains were stored in granaries. The characteristic features pertaining to the agricultural practices of the Harappans are mentioned below. The Harappans grew wheat, especially in Meghar, barley, horse gram, peas, melon, watermelon, sesame, dates, millets, grapes, henna, mandi, garlic, mustard, rice, lothal. They also exploited riverine and marine resources wherever possible. For example, mollusks were an important protein-rich food element in the coastal sites of Gujarat people. The Harappans domesticated animals on a large scale. Besides cattle, oxen, buffaloes, goats, humped bulls, sheep, pigs, asses, camels, cats, and dogs were also domesticated. Horse wasn't regular used, but the Harappans were well acquainted with the elephant and the rhinoceros. It is pertinent to note that Harappan culture was not horse-centered. Tigers were often represented in figurines, but leopards were rare. On different pottery paintings one can easily find rabbits, peacocks, ducks, pigeons, wild fowl, and monkeys. Ploughed fields, possibly with the help of wooden ploughs, have been discovered at Kalibangan. Terracotta models of plough have been found at Banawali and Bahulpur. Remains of horses at Surkota and dogs with men in graves at Ropa have been discovered. Decline. The Harappan decline is roughly dated around 1900 BCE, but no archaeological evidence accurately provides an explanation for the deurbanization. The mature phase was followed by the late Harappan phase. Possible theories of decline of the Harappan civilization are as follows. Cause: historian Aryan invasion, Wheeler, Gordon, ecological disturbance, Fairchild change in river course, Dales, M.S. Vatsa, H.T. Lamrick, low rainfall, Stein flood, McKay, SRIO, drying of Gaga and increasing aridity, D.P. Agarwal and Sood. Earthquake, Rakes and Dales, natural calamities, K.A.R. Kennedy. Famous Harappan sites. Site State River Excavator Specialty Harappa Pakistan, Punjab, Ravi Dayaram Sahini, 1921. 2 rows of 6 granaries evidence of coffin burial and cemetery H culture single room barracks 2 red stone idols of a dancing girl and naked bust of male. Pakistan, Sindh, Indus D. Banerjee, 1922, E. Mackay, Kashinath Dixit, Sir John Marshall, 1930. Multi-pillared assembly hall Great Bath, a public venue, College of Priests. Large granary piece of woven cotton cloth superficial evidence of horse bronze dancing girl violent death of some inhabitants, discovery of human skeletons together, seal representing mother goddess, Pashupati, bearded man and a woman. To be sacrificed. Evidence of ship big boat bangles of clay Lothal Gujarat, Ahmedabad district, at the head of the Gulf of Cambay. Bogava and Sabarmati River confluence. SRIO, 1957, dockyard important sea trade center and bead-making factory town not divided into 2 sectors city divided into 6 sectors and each section was built on a wide platform of unique brick remains of rice husks houses with entrances on the main street. Houses of all other sites had side entries, painting on a jar resembling the story of the cunning fox in Panchatantra evidence of double burial. Rajasthan, Ganganagar, Gaga Amlanand Ghosh, 1953, Dr. B. Lal and B. K. Thapar, 1961. Ploughed field fire altars showing practice of cult of sacrifice remains of massive brick wall around both citadel and lower town bones of camel not as well planned and organized as Mohenjo-Daro, did not even have a drainage system. Burials in circular and rectangular grave provides evidence of pre-Harappan civilization at lower layer of excavation and mature Harappan at upper layer of excavation. Decorative bricks used in flooring only at this site. Chanhu Daro, Pakistan, Sindh, near Mohenjo-Daro. Indus Ng. Mazumdar, 1931, and E. Mackay. Remains of both pre-Harappan and mature Harappan culture. Bead factory site as lots of beads, seals, ornaments unearthed. Residents were good craftsmen. No fortified structure, only Harappan city without a citadel. Evidence of human sacrifice clay model of 4-wheeler bronze model of roofed chariot Rangpur, near Lothal. Gujarat Madar River Ms. Vatsa, 1931, SRIO, 1953-54. Remains of both pre-Harappan and mature Harappan culture. Flakes yellow and grey colour pots of pre-Harappan people. Banawali, Hisar, Haryana Rangoy Bist, 1973-74, centre of pre-Harappan, mature Harappan as well as late Harappan civilization. High-quality Bali ceramics, steatite seal fire altars clay model of plough seals found only in lower town and not in citadel. Alamgopur Meerut, UP, Hindan YD. Sharma, 1958. Late Harappan culture. Pre-Harappan site house made of stone city destroyed by force. Amri Sindh, Pakistan, Sindh Guri, 1835, Fazal Ahmed, 1955. Pre-Harappan settlement transitional culture between pre- and post-Harappan culture. Actual remains of rhinoceros, trace of Janga culture in late Harappan and fire altars. Ropa Punjab, India, Sutlej YD. Sharma, 1955-56. Cemetery, seal, earthen pot. Buildings mainly of stone and soil. Evidence of burying dog below human. Sarkatada Gujarat, Parch, J.P. Joshi bones of 1964, horse and graveyard. Saktajenda Sindh, Pakistan, Balochistan. Dashak River Astein, George Dales. Ash-filled pot, copper axe, earthen bangles and pottery. Originally a port but later cut off from sea due to coastal uplift. Had trade links with Babylon. Dolavira Gujarat J.P. Joshi, 1990-91, giant water reservoir unique water harvesting system. An inscription comprising 10 large-sized signs of the Harappan script similar to a signboard. Shows all 3 phases of Harappan culture. Large-scale use of sandstone along with mud brick. Rakagari, near Hisar. Haryana over 350 hectares with new finds of 2, 2. 3, 3. 4, 4. Birana, Faithgar, 2 additional mounds, making it the largest Indus Valley civilization site and town in the world. Shows all 3 phases of Harappan culture. At Birana a fragmented artifact of a thick, sturdy red ware with an incised female figure has been found, with a pose similar to the bronze Mohenjo-Daro dancing girl. Harappan Egyptian Mesopotamian planned towns with chessboard system, excellent drainage system. Towns show a haphazard growth. Rectangular houses with brick-lined bathrooms and wells together with their stairways are found in all Harappan cities. Such town planning absent. Produced their own characteristic pottery and seals. No such unique aspect. Invented their own typical Mesopotamia has cuneiform script. 5, 5. 6, 6. 7, 7. Script, which bears no resemblance to the Egyptian and Mesopotamian scripts. And the Egyptian script is known as hieroglyphics. Both scripts have been deciphered, which tell us a lot about the civilizations. Script mostly on seals. Mesopotamians pressed letters onto moist clay tablets while Egyptians wrote on papyrus sheets made of reeds. No signs of existence after 1900 BCE. Continued to exist even after 1900 BCE. Spread over a wider area. Less area as compared to Harappa. Post-urban phase of Harappan culture. Late Harappan phase, c. 1900 BCE, 1300 BCE. The mature Harappan phase was followed by the late Harappan phase, which was marked by the decline of urban life and the diversification of agriculture. The stylistic homogeneity of Harappan civilization disappeared and the post-Harappan stage was marked by sharp stylistic diversity. There was a complex interplay of change and continuity. Elements of urbanism like seals, specialized crafts, cities, long-distance trade, and so on, declined but did not completely disappear. Some of the few urban centers surviving in the late Harappan were Kudwala in Kholistan, Bet Dwarka in Gujarat, and Damabad. A key development in this phase was the beginning of double cropping. Wheat and barley were grown as winter crops and rice, millets, and sorghum were grown as summer crops. Other key features of this period were, the declining culture in this phase is also referred to as sub-Indus culture. The rural settlements of this phase are primarily Chalcolithic in nature. The post-urban Harappans lived in villages, subsisting on agriculture, stock raising, hunting, and fishing. In this period, painted Harappan pottery is replaced with less intricate designs and painted greyware, PGW. All late Harappan sites lack human figurines. In comparison with mature Harappan pottery, the pottery in the late Harappan phase was less bright. The pots were thicker and sturdier and many peculiar Harappan shapes like perforated jars, S-shaped jars disappeared. No object for measuring length is noticed. A. B. C. The period marks the end of the Harappan trade with West Asian centers, as lapis lazuli, chert, carnelian beads, copper and bronze vessels, are either absent or scarce as trade items. Important places pertaining to this phase are Probus Patan, Somnath, Rangpur, Gujarat, Swat Valley, Manda in Jammu, Sanghor in Punjab, Daulatpur in Haryana, Alamgirpur, Hulas in UP. Latest development. Scientists from IIT Kharagpur and the Archaeological Survey of India, ACI, have uncovered evidence that the Indus Valley Civilization is at least 8,000 years old, and not 5,500 years old, taking root well before the Egyptian, 7,000 BCE 3,000 BCE, and Mesopotamian, 6,500 BCE 3,100 BCE, civilizations. What's more, the researchers have found evidence of a pre-Harappan civilization that existed for at least 1,000 years before this. The civilization proliferated to other Indian sites like Barana and Rakhigarhi in Haryana, apart from the known locations of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro in Pakistan and Lothal, Dolavara, and Kalibangan in India. The scientists believe they also know why the civilization ended about 3,000 years ago. Climate change. The Indus Valley people were very resolute and flexible and continued to evolve even in the face of declining monsoon. The people shifted their crop patterns from large-grained cereals like wheat and barley during the early part of intensified monsoon to drought-resistant species like rice in the latter part. As the yield diminished, the organized large storage system of the mature Harappan period gave way to more individual household-based crop processing and storage systems that acted as a catalyst for the de-urbanization of the civilization rather than an abrupt collapse, they say. Do you know? A. B. C. D. E. F. G. H. I. J. K. L. M. Burnt bricks, Harappa dried bricks, Egypt baked bricks, Mesopotamia Sumeria. At the time of the Harappan civilization, Sindh and Rajasthan were not desert areas as they are today. The Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro served ritual bathing. Contemporary Sumerian cities also produced the same food grains and domesticated the same animals as Harappans, but the Harappan people in Gujarat produced rice and domesticated elephants, which was not the case with the people of Mesopotamian cities. The Harappans knew the use of wheel but not that of the spoked wheel. No temples or religious structures, except the Great Bath, have been found at Harappa. It is very likely that no priests ruled in Harappa, as they did in Mesopotamia. The Harappans did not have weapons. The inhabitants of the Indus region worshipped gods in the form of trees, animals, and human beings, but the gods were not placed in temples as was done in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Terracotta refers to figurines made of fire-baked earthen clay. Female terracotta figurines outnumber male figurines in the case of Harappa. Although Harappan culture was a Bronze Age culture, yet they used bronze on a limited scale, and largely continued to use stone implements. Ragi or finger millets have not been found in any Harappan site in North India. Shortagai is a Harappan trading post in Afghanistan. Pre-Harappan phase, Kotdiji, Amri, Harappan, Kalibangan, Banwali mature phase, Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Chandhu-Daro, Kalibangan.